What is going on, guys? Wunzy Gaming back here with another Demon Hunter video, and this is going to be like an in-depth breakthrough or rundown of the new-ish specs, or new spec, the one I'm going with, and a few other specs that I experimented with here in this video. I figured, what the heck, I saw some specs on the forums kind of getting some love, and I figured I'd give them a shot right here on this video. So we're going to get into our gear. Now right here I am 879 item level equipped, 887 maximum eye level, and just like the previous patch, there is still, stat priority for us. Well, obviously everybody's got stat priority, but there's a certain thing you want on all your gear, and that's crit. You want crit on from your helmet to your second ring. You want to have crit on it on every single piece, and that's just the crit is great for Demon Hunters for multiple reasons. With it being, Blade Dance is awesome if you can get 4 crits. The numbers are insane, as well as the Chaos Strike refund. That's the big one. The Chaos Strike refund is nuts, and especially with this build, which we'll dig into the talents, it's just the amount of fury that you have. Sometimes you can't dump it fast enough. Now this is the build that I took to Nighthold. I switched it halfway through, tried different specs with different bosses just to kind of see how they go. So I got a pretty good feel for it, and some of the numbers that I was pulling were very, very nice. The weapon, straightforward, 35th trait. We're at number 39 now. I was 3 weeks behind with this weapon, or 2 weeks behind, so I fell, but really, once you get to 35, it's just it's a straight shot. But as far as the talents go, again, this is the build that I took with me into Nighthold. We got Fellblade, Demonic Appetite, First Blood, Soul Rending, Nemesis, Master of the Glaives, and Chaos Blades. Now, instead of Master of the Glaives, you can go Demonic Reborn, because you're honestly not using Throwglaive in this spec literally at all. Like, you use maybe one if you're running back to a pack or something, so you don't need that Master of the Glaive. Now, our secondary stat priority, Critical Strike, 50%. That's what you want to get it to. You want to get as close to 50% as you can. I'm not saying it's a hard requirement, but, like a hard line thing, but just get as close as you can. Haste to 10% with a Bloodthirsty Instinct. That seems to be like the magic number right there. And then Mastery, and then there's Versatility. Versatility is not something you have to avoid like the Plague, but if you can get Mastery, you want to have it there. But 5% Verse is perfectly fine. Foods, gems, and enchants, we want crit food, the Magister's Delicacy or whatever it's called, and then for the gems, the 1 plus 200 agi, and then 150 crits. Cloak, the 200 agi. Neck, you want the Aspect of the Claw, which is the chance on hit to give you haste and crit, and then rings, you want both of them, the crit enchants for those. So I tried to type this out as easily as I could. So your standard opening, you're going to get your pre-pot off, Metamorphosis in, Nemesis, and then Chaos Blades. The reason why you want a Nemesis first is because you want to have 1 extra GCD for your Chaos Blades, if that makes sense. Chaos Blades is on shorter, so you want to get the most out of it. Your opening rotation that you want to go in with is you want a Fellblade onto them, Blade Dance, usually 1 Demon's Bite, and then Chaos Strike. Now, the trick with your proccing of Fellblade off of Demon's Bite is you always want to have Fellblade on cooldown when you are using Demon's Bite to gain your Fury, if that makes sense. So if your Fellblade is ever off cooldown, use it, and then use your Demon's Bite so you can get free procs for your Fellblade. It works even better with the prepared build, so you can Prepared and then Fellblade in. Awesome little combo there, but that's the big thing. And then you want to use I-Beam when you have the Fury. You don't want to build towards it, but if you have the Fury because of Demonic Appetite procs and Chaos Strike refunds, absolutely use it. Anyone that tells you not to use I-Beam on single target is, I'm just going to say, they're going to be pretty ill-informed, especially if you have a good amount of Mastery. I understand Mastery also helps your Chaos Strike, but it's only 10 more Fury. And if you have the gold trait, which you should, we're looking at, I'm getting 59,000 ticks, 59,000 for each tick. That's 10 ticks. And then there's an implosion at the end for 3 to 500k. So it's definitely better. Now I have the rotation, I have the buttons that I'm going to be pushing pulled up on the screen, so that way it's kind of easier to see, and it's kind of like a rough what you want to do on the rotation here, and it's just for reference for you guys. And this build's pretty straightforward. It's very much like the build from the optimal build from last patch, just with an added proc. So, and one thing I did leave out of the initial rotation is your Fury of the Illidari. You pretty much want to use that whenever you don't have Fury, if it's off cooldown. I use it right there at the beginning, because it's just something that's good. It's a nice thing to dump on the target, and then you have it there. So as you guys can see, it's just pretty much the Chaos Strike, get into the I-Beams, and then once you need Fury, you're using Demon's Bite, and then if your if your Fellblade procs, you use it. Fellblade's pretty cool. I still wish that it was chaos damage, but I feel like if it was chaos damage, it would be kind of insane with the current optimal spec. But I'm really loving the First Blood. You want to use First Blood pretty much whenever you can. For the amount of Fury and the amount of DPS that it puts out, it's actually going to do more than Chaos Strike, just as far as like resources go. But Chaos Strike is still our absolute best ability. Another cool thing, guys, those of you guys that haven't been in a Nighthold yet, a couple things you want to look for. Our cape, it did get updated. I know this is probably old news for some of you guys, but in the PTR, it was Mastery Versatility. It is now Crit Mastery. They took the versatility out and put crit on it. The cape is amazing. It drops off Trilliax. He's the third boss. He's pretty easy. You guys can actually probably pug, at least the first 3 bosses in Nighthold. They're very, very simple. And definitely go for that. And in this expansion, our Raid Finder tier is actually no different besides item level to the actual content. So the benefits of this build as opposed to the other builds that are going to be in this video is it brings a lot of single target. And it has its AoE abilities with First Blood. And that's going to be a common theme that you see throughout the video. But it's very good at single target. The big thing too is I love Demonic Appetite. One thing you have to look out for though, guys, with Demonic Appetite is you got to keep an eye out for the little orbs. Usually you just got to get within 5 or 6 feet of them and then they'll get you. Usually just wiggling on the boss instead of just staying still like I am will be enough to grab an orb. So if you can wiggle it and you grab the orbs, but you see like right there, the Fury bar just went from half and it just filled all the way up just with 2 of those. So it's all about just keeping your eye on them and just you'll be sometimes you just can't dump the Fury fast enough. It's just procs and procs and procs, and it's amazing. It helps your survivability, especially if you were like me and you have Pride As. You combine your Pride As shield with your soul, your lesser soul fragments, and you're healing yourself. Plus you have this amazing shield, so your survivability goes up. I really like Demonic Appetite. And again, I used Demonic Appetite when I leveled this character very early on. I saw it as a really nice survive skill. And I never really gave it a shot at 110. And then with this new build and how everything's work, I just feel like it's a must. I'm never Fury starved, and it just feels really good. Now, as far as the top ability between Fellblade and Fell Mastery, with the Fell Mastery buff in the hotfix, Fell Mastery is perfectly fine to take. I played with Fell Mastery on the Tichondrius fight, and the first boss, it's like Scorpyrion or whatever his name is. I used Fell Mastery there, and it was fine. Maybe Fellblade would have been better on Tyke, but I'm still experimenting with things as we go along, and I felt comfortable enough to put this video out now. And just a full disclosure for the meters in here, how I'm breaking down how I do this is I'm using 2 Metamorphosis on each dummy. So each build is getting to the 2 Metamorphosis point in the video. I'm going through that entire Metamorphosis and staying like 10 seconds after that meta, and then we're seeing what the DPS output is. Again, this is the build that if you look up on my armory, this is probably going to be the one that I use. And I'm going to be speeding up the other builds just so the video isn't like extremely long. It's going to be a long video, but I don't want it to be extremely long. So this next one is something that I really like. This is kind of something that I was playing around with, and I was like, this could actually be really cool. So it's the same build pretty much, except for we are changing Demonic Appetite to Prepared, and we're changing Nemesis to Fell Eruption. Now, I'm not a huge fan of giving up on Nemesis. It's such a powerful cooldown. But Fell Eruption, you see some pretty cool big crits. I want to say that I crit close to 2 million here, but I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of numbers all over the screen. But I'm pretty sure I did during Nemesis. I crit a huge Fell Eruption. But this spec was so much fun. Like, it just, the amount of fun it was well worth it. And I really enjoyed it. Now, as far as like practical use, it seemed totally fine. The thing that they did in 7.1.5 that I think a lot of people didn't like initially, but kind of it grew on them, is they made a lot of different specs viable. They made a lot of talents. You can just do it because you're like, well, I like the way this talent works. I like the way it seems like it plays, and you give it a shot and you're like, okay, the numbers are comparable. It might be a little drop or, a little more increase, but it's playable. And the big thing too is that's with trinkets. So I tested an 885 Urn from Nightbane, an 865 Aya Command, my 860 Arcano Crystal, and my 880 Bloodthirsty Instinct. And I was seeing very, very marginal differences between the Eye of Command, Arcano Crystal, and the Urn. I always kept the Bloodthirsty Instinct on. That's going nowhere. If you don't have a Bloodthirsty Instinct too, guys, you can get the Nightmare Shell out of Darkheart Thicket. But out of those other three, I was seeing very marginal differences. Seeing a little more crits with the Eye of Command, but more sustainable DPS with the Arcano Crystal. And then with the Urn, I was seeing bigger Chaos Strikes. And in the end, I went with the Arcano Crystal because I just like the secondary stat stick. It's just, if I can get a good Eye of Guarm that has crit on it, it would probably replace the Arcano Crystal at this point. But until I get that, I'm going to be sticking with this Arcano Crystal. Now for this next build, this is a build that my friends and I were talking about, and I tested it on the PTR because I was able to actually get the legendary this pertains to. But this is for if you have the Demon Hunter helmet, the one that affects the eye beam. This is an awesome build. I had so much fun with it, and at the end of this, you'll see I actually did pretty good numbers, even though I didn't have the eye beam, the helmet. I did mess up on the initial rotation. This one, you kind of don't want to pop Metamorphosis off the bat. You want to jump in, get your Fury up, use your eye beam, then meta to reset your eye beam. So I did mess that up, and I'm gonna chalk that up to just not experience with this build. But this build was so much fun, and another big thing is I was queuing up my abilities early because I'm used to having just the 10 stacks of eye beam. So I was cutting off like 1 or 2 stacks, using an ability too early and cutting it off. All that would come with practice, but this was a lot of fun. So if you guys have that helmet and you want to give this one a shot, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I'm actually kind of like low key hoping that I get that helmet. Not only because I believe it is crit mastery, so it's like perfectly statted now, but like I really want to try this build out to see how optimal it can get, especially in the Mythic Plus setting. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you had any questions or concerns, go ahead and comment them below. One thing I didn't touch on is relics. The relics are really looking for the Metamorphosis cooldowns and the Chaos Strike damage. Eye Beam is okay, and Demon's Bite is okay as well. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will catch you guys in the next video.